Hi, and thanks for watching. This video is the first in a series of videos that are designed to help people become better at using English. Now, this series was made particularly for people who do not speak English as their first language, and it's made even more particularly for people who speak Korean as their first language, as I've been living and teaching English in Korea for several years now, and as a result, I've sort of picked up on some common problems that Koreans have when using English. But certainly anyone who finds this series helpful is welcome to watch it. Now, every episode of this video series will touch on a certain topic. It might be grammar, it could be pronunciation. We might even talk about writing a little bit, since a lot of people tend to struggle when it comes to writing. Anyway, I hope this series is helpful to you. So let's go ahead and start with our first lesson. Okay, now for our first lesson, I thought we would talk about a topic that a lot of people kind of have problems with in South Korea, but they don't really realize that it's a problem, and that is with periods at the end of abbreviations. Now, I might have used a few words that you're unfamiliar with there, so let's talk about those. Now, a period is going to be what in Korean you would call a chum, which literally translates to point in English, and sometimes we call it that, but when talking about grammar, we usually call it a period. Okay, that's going to be the dot that comes at the end of sentences. Okay, and an abbreviation, that is when we take a word or a series of words and we make it smaller. Okay, a good example would be United States of America becomes USA, right? USA, USA, okay? United States of America, USA, okay? It's much easier to say USA instead of United States of America, so we abbreviate it. Now, here's the tricky thing. Sometimes we put periods at the end of each of those letters. U period, S period, A period. Sometimes we don't, okay? In British English especially, they tend to not use periods in abbreviations, but sometimes we do. But here's the important thing. If you do that, if you use periods in your abbreviations, put one at the end. I see very often where people will, it will look something like this. Let's say, for example, there will be a boxing gym, and it's called the KO boxing gym, right? Because KO is short for knockout, right? KO, right? So, and it will say like K period O, and then there's no period, okay? There should be a period after the O, okay? That's very important. So whenever you write an abbreviation with periods, make sure that you put a period at the end of the final letter. Now you might say to yourself, why is that important, right? People know the name of your gym, or they know what you're talking about, right? Why do you need that final period? Well, and honestly, it comes down to professional image, I guess. Like it or not, this is a world where, images count. And, and this is becoming an increasingly global world that we live in. So nowadays, English speakers are traveling everywhere, like it or not, And so if, let's say you have a business and it doesn't use a period at the end of its abbreviation, people like me might see that and it will seem kind of unprofessional to us. We might think to ourselves, well, if this person didn't take the time to make sure that the grammar on their sign was okay, what other sorts of things aren't they taking time to do? All right. Maybe if you have to fill out a job application or something like that using English, and a native English speaker reads it, and you leave a period off at the end of your abbreviations, it might make you seem not as smart or not as good as English as you really are. And you would hope that wouldn't cost you a job, but it might. Little things matter, right? And it would really be a shame that your business isn't as successful, or your writing isn't as professional as it is, even though you're really smart, right? And I want you to be successful, and so that's why I'm telling you, remember those periods at the end of your abbreviations, okay? Now, there are a few things that are a little bit more complicated. Now, if you remember that, great. You've accomplished the lesson, right? Periods at the end of abbreviations. Or if you want, you can not use periods at all. But if you use periods at the end of after your letters, make sure that they're after all of your letters. The only exception, though, is sometimes you will see words like abbreviations for words like Mr., Doctor, road, things like that. Now, these are single word abbreviations. It's only one word. Things like United Nations, that's two words, United Nations. But things like Mr., that's only one. Now, in American English, we do put a period after these ones, only at the end. We surprisingly don't put them in the middle, okay? But in British English, they do not use them at all, okay? So that's a little bit unusual. But in either case, you're either going to have a period at the end of that word, or you're not going to have them at all, and that's sort of your choice, all right? The other thing that can be a little bit confusing to some people is, what if you have a sentence and it ends with an abbreviation? Let's say, for example, you say, I went to the USA. Well, that's a period. That's a sentence, so you should have a period at the end. Now, USA also has a period at the end if you choose, because it's an abbreviation. So what do? Do you put two periods? U period, S period, A period, period? Or do you just leave one? The answer is you only have the one, okay? The period after the A in USA, that does double duty. It serves as an abbreviation period, and it also serves as a sentence ending period, okay? But what if you want to finish with a different punctuation? You want to say, I went to the USA, okay, with an exclamation point. So then what? Do you write U period, S period, A, exclamation point, or U period, S period, A period, exclamation point? It's going to be the second one, okay? That period, it can do double duty. It can serve as terminal punctuation for the end of a sentence and abbreviation punctuation, but it cannot do the job of an exclamation point or a question mark, okay? Are you going to the USA? You should have the period for the A and the question mark after it, okay? So I think that's everything. I hope that was useful for you and not too confusing. And that's it for today. Thanks again for watching. Oh, by the way, I should take a minute to thank my good friend Andy. He was the one who kind of who is helping me learn how to do all these video things. He has his own channel on YouTube, Bubblegum Arcade, where he talks about video games and movie reviews, makeup tips. He even has like some actual videos that he made. So if those are interesting, go over and check out his site. He's a great guy, and That's it for today. Thanks, everybody.